Good morning, Arise Church. I want to say happy Mother's Day to all of the moms that are there. I can't wait to be back with you in church next Sunday, but on this Mother's Day, I want to talk about a couple of moms first. You know, you may have heard of some great moms like Mary, the mother of Jesus. There's another mother we've all heard of, that's Mother Teresa. She didn't have biological children, but she was a mother to so many. Like some of you out there, you're mother to so many people. I think about the mothers of my two grandsons, that this is their first Mother's Day, Melody and Gracie. You're great moms. I think about Shinobu, the mother of my children. I'm grateful for her. But today you're in for a special treat because you have, I would say, probably in my life, the most important mom. That's my mom. I wouldn't be here without her. She's here to speak today on this Mother's Day. Pastor Patty and my dad, Pastor Lauren, they pastor out at Sure Foundation Puna. They've been such great models of how people should live their lives, whether it's through their marriage, their family, even in ministry. And today, I know that she has an amazing message that's going to encourage you all on this Mother's Day. So can we do this? Can we all stand to our feet today and can put your hands together and give a warm Arise Church welcome to Pastor Patty Carmichael.
Good morning. You may all be seated. Wow, that felt so powerful for me to say. Like everybody was just sat on command. I was listening to Kara talk this morning and in the first service also, and I was thinking, man, I need her to come to our church and tell people to watch their kids the way she does. You know, talks to you guys, because it sounds so like calming and gentle. If I said that, it wouldn't come out that way. You know, and then she talked about offering, and then I was thinking, you know what? I mean, money and children, they go together. It all belongs to God, but we are just stewards over it, right? And so, good job, Kara, wherever you are. This morning, the title, well, before I say the title of my message, let's do a little exercise. Let's all take a deep breath for a moment and just breathe. 1, 2, 3. And breathe it out. Now, doesn't that relax you when you do that? The title of my message is Take the Why Out of Crazy. Okay? That's why I had you breathe. And if you say why, well, you need to listen to this message because we got to get that why out. You know, I was thinking about how, and I looked this up, when we shoot anything, the thing I looked up was shooting an arrow, because you'll hear a lot of cards and a lot of sentiments about, you know, on Mother's Day, about shooting your arrows. Well, when you actually are shooting an arrow, it makes me think of Larry. And by the way, Janine, I turned it around if Janine's here, only because I'm not very dainty. But she made this lei for me, and what a beautiful blessing. I'm not taking it off because it was made for me. But shooting an arrow, whenever you're going to shoot any kind of arrow or gun or anything, you know, it said online that the first thing you have to do is line up. Everybody say line up. You got to line up with your target, right? You have a goal. You want to hit something. In order to hit that target, hopefully on the bullseye, is that you need to line up. And as Christians, that is so important, because when we're going to aim at anything, the first thing we've got to do is line up. We have to make sure why we're doing it, what's our goal, and if we're going to be dedicated to seeing it through. We need to, second thing, stand firm. You know, they say that when I took a gun class, is that when you're going to take, especially with a handgun, well, maybe with a rifle, but you want to stand a certain length apart, maybe shoulders apart, and you want to get your target in line, and you want to make sure that your feet are planted firmly. Now, the Bible says a lot about that, about standing with your feet planted firmly. The next thing you need to do, you need to aim. How many of you know if you don't aim, you're probably not going to hit the target? Right? In life, there's many targets out there. It just depends. What do you want to aim at? What do you want to hit? So line up, stand firm, aim, and the last thing you do is when you're comfortable with that shot, when you know that that's the target that you want to hit, is you fire, you let it go. And usually if you do all those things, you have a pretty good chance. You may not hit the bullseye, but you'll be pretty close. I found in doing those things a technique, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just my technique, but something that in all the sports I've ever done, whether it's serving a tennis ball or shooting or golfing or what else, I don't know what else we've done. Well, not so much surfing. You don't really have to do that. But, well, you do have to hold your breath when you go under. But that's really important. But a thing that I have had to learn is before I'm going to let go and aim toward my target, because in sports you usually have a target, is that I take a deep breath and I hold it. I'm in position. I hold it for a second. And then when I have let my breath all the way out, I go and I take my shot. Now, I've got a hole-in-one to prove that it works. Okay, I'm just going to brag on myself. But anyways, you take a deep breath because what you're doing is you're making your body relax. Do you notice that whenever you're tense or have anxiety, that a lot of times you're holding your breath? I forget when we're doing something. If he's concentrating, I say, you got to breathe. Like if I'm massaging or trying to get ice, you have to breathe. Because when we breathe, we're oxygenating ourselves. We're getting our organs to breathe. And we're relaxing. A friend of mine that does, I don't know if it's iridology or iridology, she told me once, you need to breathe every day. Take 7 breaths, in succession 7 times a day. So that would equal to at least 49 times that you're taking a deep breath, holding and letting it go. And I found that when I feel stressed and I do that exercise, that I can literally feel myself just ground again and relax. Because when we are filled with anxiety, it just is not good for us. It's not good for our mind. I've heard that talking about letting things live rent-free in your head. Ann Landers, I think was her name, said almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. Now that's something we can all relate in, right? The computer doesn't work, the TV doesn't work. Unplug it, let it rest just a second. And so many times we need to unplug from everything going on. Like stop letting anxiety live rent-free in your head. Somewhere I heard just the other day that fear is free. Like it don't cost you nothing, but it costs you everything. And so, looking back as I was thinking about this message, that I think we can all agree that in the last 5 years, like our lives have drastically changed. Isn't that true? I mean, a lot of things. The way that going to the airport, the way that the kids go to school, the way that when you go into a store or they've pretty much done away with the masks. I did it when I had to, but I knew that we need fresh air. So, we need to breathe. And And then along with that, there was this whole like talking about craze, social media craze, and just Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all those things. And really, society has all become about the big me. Look at me. Look what I'm doing. I mean, and if we don't watch out as Christians, we can get caught up in that. Like, I'm not crazy about social media. You know, I mean, I understand what it is. I know how to use it to my benefit. I've got a grandson in the mainland. I use that to keep track of what he's doing in his busy schedule. But all those things, if you notice, I've noticed that it is designed to keep you not only occupied, but keep you pulled in. Like, look at that post. Oh, that post goes to that post. Like, you can blink your eye and you've spent an hour looking at things that, like, what value does that have to my life, right? It's crazy. And so the word craze is a noun, but when something overtakes our life and changes us or becomes a mania, we're crazy over that thing. And we got to get the why out of our crazy. Right? Crazes, they come and go. But the Word of God will never change. And that's one thing that we can depend on. The adjective crazy is insane, impractical, erratic, unusual. Like, I mean, I can't believe some things people put on social media. Like, do they realize what, and so we think that way. And yet, on the other hand, in this day and age, I've seen how a lot of busy, I don't want to say crazy parents, you're not crazy, busy, occupied parents, it's so easy, I do it myself, it's so tempting to just turn on the television, give them a tablet, give them a phone, and the baby will stay quiet if they're watching this stuff. But yet, I'm a thinker, so what about their brain development? Like, I'm so thankful that when my kids were growing up, there wasn't like really video games when they were young, or things that, they had to go outside and fight with each other and play. It was building character, you know what I mean? But now everybody's indoors. They're preoccupied. You can't have a conversation with some people. They've got to check what the latest thing is. And when we get caught up, it's not a bad thing, it's a great thing. But when we are caught up with it, it can become the crazy in our lives. Talking about that, those kinds of things, kids so involved with all of this social media and all of these what do they call it, where they have these challenges and stuff like that, and all these things end up controlling them. Another thing that has really changed in the past maybe 10 or 20 years is anxiety, which is why I talked about breathing. Anxiety is extremely high in our society and increasing. I'm telling you, when they watch all this garbage on whatever they're looking at on, Matthew 6:22 says, the lamp of the body is the eye. Like, this is what's going to determine what's in here. So whether you are reading the Word of God, not only that, what you hear too, it's all connected, but when whatever, it's garbage in, garbage out. Good things in, good things out. Isn't that true? But anxiety is extremely high in our society, and not only that, it is increasing all the time. Clinical anxiety is now being seen in children more than ever. It's actually becoming an epidemic. The things that all people, I think, can, phobias, all these things that we have, a lot of it may be, I didn't say this in first service. My thing is, don't you dare come and try and tickle me. Okay, that's my phobia. Because when I was a kid, I was held down a lot and tickled. So anytime anybody does that, it is creating this trigger in me that I am going to be out of control and I'll be helpless, right? And so those, I think a lot of times that's how, we don't know where it came from, but if we go back in our childhood, I can see a lot of things that helped to shape who I am. And this is why, as parents, how we deal with our children, how we are our children's protectors, we are our children's advocates, how and what we see happening to them, it is our business to intervene. So the clinical anxiety, I mean, a lot of kids have that separation anxiety, and a lot of it's natural. I watched Teddy just a few minutes ago having separation at 9 or 10 months old. That is what goes along with that age. But we mold that. Hopefully by 2, they're not as clingy or having anxiety when they're separated. They can be affected by divorce, death, abuse, conflict, illness. One statistic that I read was 20.5% of young people, so that would be anyone young, worldwide struggle with anxiety. That's probably like, what is that, 1 out of 5? 2 out of 10? That's a lot of people. And then let's talk about the elephant in the room. In 2020, we all went through COVID. Our churches were shut down. There was no place to worship. I mean, a few churches, stayed open, thank God. We were isolated. Children missed certain milestones. Everybody was masked. You couldn't see, children could not look at our expression and see what kind of response we had. They're reading us all the time. There was family tension. From that, I think shootings rose in the world, political unrest. It turned people against people. It was horrible. God has intended for us to love one another, to look out, to be the light in the world. Well, they tried to shut that light down and scare us into being obedient. Children have anxiety about going to school as kindergartners, sports. Parents, really, you think about it, are your kids in 5 different sports for you or for them? Because if it's more than they can handle, it's going to create anxiety. And if they see you anxious about trying to get them there, it's going to create anxiety. They are reading us. And so the things that make children like, oh, that's no big deal. To them, it's a big deal. Their pets, if their pets are okay, they can't find them. What's going on with you? Or your grandparents, they are learning to navigate their life through us. I shared with the first service when our church was kind of new, and we've had to learn. Parenting doesn't come with a handbook, and neither does building a church. There's no way that we could read, oh, that's what we're supposed to do. We have had to trust God and think we're obedient and learn, well, no. And our motto has always been, if we make a mistake, we will ask God to forgive us and move on. Because yesterday's mistake, it's over. You can't undo it. Isn't that the truth? You have to move on. We're never going to be perfect as parents, but they are navigating through us. They're navigating through the church. I was sent to church, honestly. I was raised a Catholic. I was sent to church. My parents didn't go, but we had to go. And it did not, by the time I was a teenager, I was over that. You're telling me to go, but you're not living the same way? No, that's not good. And I started to kind of rebel against God. And so those of you that bring are the example. You bring your kids, you teach them about God. God bless you for that. I've talked about this the last time I was here. We were kind of into that show, Young Sheldon. He's about 11 or so. And this guy's a genius. And he is so smart that he does his parents' checkbook. He balances his parents' checkbook. And he's so detailed. And then he would do his parents' taxes every year. Like, he's that smart at that age. And so one day he's doing the checkbook, and he notices a discrepancy. Like, I don't think I would even notice one. And he goes to his dad, who writes the checks, and says, I see something wrong. And he goes, what are you talking about? There's nothing wrong with the checkbook. He goes, yes, it's check number so-and-so. It's missing. And I show 300 missing from the balance. And now the dad's like, okay, do I tell the truth, or do I try to cover this up, right? And the dad ends up saying, it's okay. It's really nothing. And don't tell mom. It's our secret. Okay. Sheldon does not keep secrets. He is not capable of keeping a secret. And it goes on, there's this whole thing of where he can't sleep, he can't eat, he has trouble concentrating, he has these flashbacks of someone's going to come get him because he's keeping a secret. And he finally comes out, and he just stands in front of his dad and says, you are making me whatever. And he says, what did he say? I don't consider you my role model. Now, this is a probably 11, 10-year-old telling his father, I don't consider you my role model. And in that is that we don't know by our responses the effect that we are having on our children. Just because they don't say anything, it's not because they don't know. Can we play that video real quick?
Can I sit with you?
I think Mommy needs to be alone right now.
All right. Mom, I'm scared.
Why?
You didn't go to church. You stopped saying grace. I don't understand what's going on.
It's kind of hard to explain.
Is it me? Did I do something wrong?
Of course not. Come here. Sheldon. Faith means believing in something you can't know for sure is real. And right now, I am struggling with that.
So you don't believe in God anymore?
That isn't something for you to worry about. I need to figure this out myself.
Can I help?
What's going on in that story is that his mom worked at the church, and a family friend, because they live in a small town, the family one of the families got in a car accident, and one of the children passed away. I know it sounds horrible, but my point in that is she is questioning the goodness of God. How could a good God do that to an innocent child, right? And I think all of us at some point have had to grapple with that thought. And you'll hear it all the time. Well, if God's so good, why is there war in the world? If God's so good, why is this happening? Well, God told us in the Bible that there is a God of this world, and it's not him. But when we believe in a God who's sovereign, that we're going to see one day, and we have faith in that God, she had to get her faith back to realize. But the point Sheldon was making, he doesn't see all that. He sees a mom that has been leading the family, going to church, praying for food, and all of a sudden, it's not happening. He is reading her actions and having his his makeup of who he is. Moms, you matter. What you do in your household, how you talk to your children, the example that you lead before them matters. They see the world through us. 2 Corinthians 3:2, ye are our epistle written in our hearts, known and read of all men. Paul talking to the church. I think that was King James or New King James, but the NIV says, you yourselves are our letter, written on our hearts, known and read by everyone. Verse, I think 3, you show that you're a letter from Christ, a result of our ministry, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of human hearts. When we allow God to be Lord of our lives and really live through him, we don't have to stand on a corner and scream at people how good God is. They will see your life and know how good God is. And I found out in all the places I've worked and how I've lived, being in this small community, when people need help, even though they don't go to church, they will know where to come. They'll know who to lean on. And my encouragement to you is let God be God in your life. Give him all of you. But be a good steward of not only yourself, but your children. We need the peace of God in our lives to do that. Just this past week, unexpectedly, we're going on a short trip, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go exchange my phone. My phone is not charging well. It's kind of starting to glitch. And so I went in, and I was sitting there with my back to the front entrance, and I couldn't see anything but the entertaining they were putting on the videos. And I thought, I don't know if I picked a good seat. Like I've been told, like, you should always keep your eyes on the entrance, you know, especially in this time where you just don't know what people are doing or what's on their mind. And all of a sudden, after I was thinking that, I heard like a little commotion. And I was like, oh boy, you know, I'm just trying to mind my own business. I don't need stress. All of this is flashing through my mind. And I turn around, and there's these two old guys, and I say old because they're my age. And so honestly, one's got a mask or two, and one doesn't. And the one that doesn't decides that he doesn't want that guy with a mask. Like, who made you God for the day? You know, I'm thinking. I'm pretty practical. Like, this is your choice. Wear it or don't wear it, you know? And so now it's escalated, and everybody, all the workers are running around trying to figure this out. And so they settled it, and one walked away, not after he cussed at the other one, but I was like, oh boy, you know, like, and then we were just minding our own business, shopping in Target the other day. I hardly ever go there. There's a guy like making, I think, intentionally trying to talk loud, you know, so people could hear. Do you see the price of eggs? You know, the president said he would fix that. I'm like, what? Like, how did I deserve this? Like, what? I'm minding my own business, you know? But the point I always make when I step out the door, I choose to not engage. People want to talk rude to me. I've looked at them and just walked away. There's road rage. I'm going to just stay out of the whole thing and not retaliate. You know, we have a choice in life. We want to reflect our flesh, or we want to reflect God. You know, something my husband told me years ago when I was anxiety about certain things, and in church, and people will tell you things that, you know, they have their point of view, but they don't know the whole picture. And he said, hon, just remember, it's not you, it's them. And you know, that had to really sink in. Like, you don't have to take it personal. It's not me, it's them. It's their point of view. And in life, that's the attitude that we have, because we need to keep the peace of God. Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way that he or she should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. Well, how do we do that? You did that this morning by coming to church. You do it at night by saying prayers. I remember my husband when my kids were all young. Okay, kids, let's all get in a circle. And they'd be like, oh my gosh. And they'd all sit there and just wait because, Dad's kind of long-winded. And so he's a preacher. And so, but do you know that was forming who they are? And now with their kids, they know the first thing. As I was preparing this, we had a life-changing thing happen in our family's life. And right now we're in prayer about it, but we can never go back. I mean, we're believing God for the outcome. But things come unexpected. But we have to choose to not engage with the enemy. Just breathe. Train up a child. You may have trained your children up the right way, and maybe they're not serving God. It doesn't make that scripture wrong. When he is old, he will not depart from it. Doesn't say how old. That word train, put up that picture of that plant. To hedge, discipline, dedicate. Practice and instruction over time. You see this? Is there a bonsai behind me? Very special to me, although I probably am going to get a Lego one because I don't want to have to do the care. But my grandfather was really passionate. I come from a pure Japanese family, so my grandfather was from Japan, and that was his passion. And he had a garden in the back of tables and all bonsai on it. And I never really got close to it. We couldn't touch it. But I would see that passion and all the care and the hours and hours. Well, that's just like raising children, isn't it? About guiding them in the right way and making that branch bend a little bit, or a little too much on that side. The forming that we do. And then one thing I've learned with kids, it doesn't happen overnight. In reality, right, some people, when maybe you've had a child and the first one has been super easy. And maybe they came out looking a little wonky, but time is going by and they're getting kind of cute, and they're good kids and you kind of I think God made women that we forget what we went through in childbirth so that we would keep having kids. But I said, you remember, Grandma? I said, well, actually, no, I think God made us that way. But you think, wow, if kids are this good, I think I'll have another one. And then number 2 comes. And maybe I didn't experience that. Candace, it wasn't you. But some parents might think, what was I thinking? Right? Because you had maybe, I think this is how my brain thinks. Some children are exclamation points. They're the ones that when they walk in the room, I got one, a grandchild, everybody knows. And she'll tell you how smart she is. And, I look back on an old video. She was trying to put me in time out when she was 2 years old. Like, she has an opinion, right? Exclamation point. But those are the people that probably become the president of the United States. Some are commas, you're like, can you make up your mind? Some are periods, like, what are they thinking? Are they happy or are they sad or what? Like you can't figure them out. Some are question marks, which takes us back to the exclamation point. Like, what? And so we got all those kinds of kids in the church, in our families sometimes. Some are the small print, the large print, the bold print. Like, you ever have someone text you in all bold print? Like, you feel like they're screaming at you, right? But they're who God has called them to be and who God has given to us to parent. And those of you married people that don't have kids yet, don't be scared. Parenting is one of the best things we've ever done. Psalms 127, 1 through 4. Unless the Lord builds a house, the builders labor in vain. Unless it watches over the city, the guards stand watch in vain. In vain you wake up early, you stay up late, trying to get food to eat. He grants sleep to those he loves. God gives us rest. Children are a heritage from the Lord, the offspring a reward from him, like arrows. I didn't expect this word when I studied on it. In the hands of a warrior. Moms, can I say, you are a warrior for God. Yes. Let's give our moms a hand. Thank you, Jesus. I mean, guys, every day you come home from work and you walk in the door, you should just clap. It'll do you good. Just clap. Take a deep breath and clap. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior are children born in one's youth. Now, Abraham was 100, so I don't know. God's time is different from ours. Blessed is the man or woman whose quiver is full of them. Maybe you've got just one. And, you know, I didn't share this earlier, but Melody was feeling the stress of this, of being that example to her child. Like she felt the pressure, like it was sinking in. She said, Grandma, even when Daisy, you all know Daisy, right? Their dog. Everybody knows Daisy. Well, anyways, when she's a little yappy at times, but whenever she yaps, the first thing she does, Melody said, is look at her face. What's mom's reaction? Because he is learning from mom in every circumstance how to respond. Be good stewards over what God has entrusted you with. Not somebody else's. Don't be worried about anybody else's kids. Don't have anxiety. We have enough anxiety trying to just tame ourselves, right? I always tell people, I can't bother with what someone else is doing. I can't be concerned with that because just keeping myself saved is a full-time job, okay? And we need to water and nurture just like that plant, to shape, to live like God is watching us, because he is. To breathe. When you don't know what to do, take a breath. Take 7. Do it 7 times. And lastly, Pastor Jamie, you can come up. And lastly is the big one, is pray. Believe and pray. And let me add on to that. After you do all those things, just rest. It may not happen right now. It may not happen tomorrow. It may not happen even next week, we've learned. But when you believe, don't waver. Be that arrow headed for your target, and just believe. And see God manifest what he said that he would do in your lives. Amen. God bless you all.
Bless you. Thank you very much.